All right, people, back to our normal broadcasting. Right. All right. So we saw in the last video on the Catholic or universal principles coming forth from the Pope. These principles, I would imagine, like I said, y'all need to look into it, but would outline the policy behind it as far as them trying to supposedly better our environment, better our climate. I was watching another video right now, as a matter of fact, that do you really believe they're going to hold all these industrial companies liable for polluting the air and the land and the water? I mean, it's that's a lengthy court process right there. These people know what they're doing. They do that stuff on purpose. They know what they're doing. They're grown men. There is no excuse for them of ever of polluted our earth. Who's going to hold them responsible? Here, with all these oil rigs, my ex-boss, I think he was telling me one of his ex co-workers, truck driver, dumped oil on the ground. It's a pretty hefty fine. Imagine how much these guys are going to have to pay for all that crap they spilled in our oceans, our fresh waters, and on the land here. I mean, it's ridiculous. Do you really think that holding these companies responsible and charging them all these millions, if not billions of dollars, is going to change? Is going to clean the earth? No. It's not that hard to figure out, people. I mean, it's all about the Benjamins, like they say. Okay. But anyways, let's see. It's crazy, people. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I forgot what page we were on. Here it is. But anyways, let's see. We're going to continue here on this booklet. And here, covering the section about the nations were angry. Yeah, let all these nations that are kissing the Pope's butt, per se, right now, and following him and all these things, they're following blindly, is what I say. But wait till all these things come to pass and all hell's going to break loose. All right. The nations were angry. These 10 religions or religious powers have now given their power and strength to this government of the people and by the people, and against Yahweh. All the armies of this world are now gathered for battle. By the lying speech of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet, these armies are now on the march. They are angry about these plagues that have come upon them. They have hatred against the land of Yada and the city of Jerusalem. You can kind of see these false things coming out of the Pope's mouth. I mean, it's like I said, there's no real major danger behind it, but they are still man's traditions, man's customs, man's commandments and laws. Okay. This earth is so defiled, like we read in Isaiah, that I mean, people are wondering why they're coming up with all these sicknesses and whatever. I mean, contaminating our waters, the air, and the earth. Is crazy. It's too late. It's really too late. These armies will think they will only be fighting Judah and the city of Jerusalem, and they have confidence in their success. This will be a religious war waged to completely annihilate a religion. The Jews have been accused of being the cause and will be blamed for these plagues that have come upon this world. The Catholics want forgiveness for the persecutions of this people, but they have not repented of their persecutions. Like, who's going to hold them responsible for all those child molestations and rapes and murders? Who's going to hold them responsible? Are you kidding me? That's like trying to hold our government responsible for any crimes, organized crimes they've committed. The Jews have been accused of being the cause and will be blamed for these plagues that have come upon this world. The Catholics want forgiveness for the persecutions of this people, but they have not repented of the persecutions. Now they and the world will think to completely kill the Jews. We read in Zechariah 14, 1 and 2. Says, behold, the day of Yahweh comes, and your plunder will be divided in the midst of you. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city will be taken, the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city will go into captivity, but the remainder of the people will not be cut off from the city. Okay. Scriptures say one day in the future all nations will come up against Jerusalem to battle, to completely destroy her. When one half of the city of Jerusalem goes forth into captivity, the battle of the day of Yahweh will begin. Where will this battle take place? Yahweh's prophecies are always written as the prophet Yeshaya or Isaiah tells us, here a little and there a little. You should be aware of that already by now. Let us go over to Isaiah 28:10. I know we just covered the scripture. I can't see without my glasses. It says, for precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. Although the book of Revelation is the key to prophecy, the book of Revelation in no way gives the completeness of each event in the scriptures, in the Holy Scriptures. We must study the book of Revelation with the prophets of old to get the complete story and truth. Even Mr. Armstrong, the late Mr. Armstrong, has a booklet called Daniel Unlocks Revelation. I can't remember if I had it or no, but okay. Like I said, I need to get back on their mailing list. So we must study the writings of the prophets. They wrote a little bit here in Isaiah, a little bit in Jerusalem, a little bit in Jeremiah, a little bit in Daniel, a little bit in Revelation, a little bit in Joel, a little bit in Deuteronomy, Zechariah, and on and on. Okay. For those of us, or for those of y'all rather, for those of y'all who have ever tried to figure out if there's an actual timeline in the scriptures, that's great. That really is. I would think you'd get just the history of it, I believe one of the best ones I've come across was Mr. Stephen M. Jones from Minnesota. He's got a lot of great stuff. He really does. He has tried, I don't know if they're correct. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to waste too much time doing a lot of that stuff, but he pretty much has outlines like more or less when the Messiah was born. We know when he died. It was around the Passover, unleavened bread feasts. He's got all this insight. I don't know if I have his books anymore or no. Like I said, I have only really stayed with the majority of the House of Yahweh studies, and everything else is Christian, but I need to look him up. He's got a lot of cool stuff. Okay. We must study the book of Revelation with the prophets of old to get the complete story and truth. The prophet Joel tells us where this great battle will be fought. So we go over to Joel. If I remember where it's at. Micah, Jonah, Amos, Joel. 3:1-2. For behold, in those days and at that time when I bring back the captives of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Judgment of Yahweh. That is what the word Jehoshaphat means. Judgment of Yahweh. And will enter into my judgment against them. Therefore my people, Israel, my inheritance, whom they have scattered among the nations, and have also parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, giving a boy in exchange for a prostitute, and selling a girl for wine that they might drink. And then we also have 9-15 of the same chapter. It says, proclaim this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the warriors draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathen. Gather together all around there. Cause your mighty ones to come down. O Yahweh, let the heathen be weakened and come up into the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there I will sit to judge the heathen all around. Put in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, all get down, for the press is full, the vats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. The sun and moon will be darkened, and the stars will withdraw their shining. Speaking of stars, I know I've covered a couple of videos saying that this star spoken of in Revelation in the midst of the tribulation is Satan, the morning star. But yesterday and the day before, I got to thinking about the star that led the Magi to the Messiah's birth. Could have been a messenger, an angel, but we must remember also that there was Lucifer that put it into the king's mind that wanted to kill the baby Messiah. Just something to think about now. I need to look into that. Is the battle of the day of Yahweh the same event the Apostle John spoke of in Revelation 14? By precept upon precept, we will see that it is. The prophet Joel gives us a very important fact. Notice in verse 3:13. Put in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come all, get down, for the press is full, and the vats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Joel had just told us what John the Revelator was also shown in Revelation 14, 17 through 19. Revelation 14, 17 through 19. And another Malak came out of the house which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. Here, Revelation 14, 17 through 20 or 19. You can also reference to Joel 3:13. And another Malak came out from the altar which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him who had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in your sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes were fully ripe. And the Malak thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast them into the great winepress of the wrath of Yahweh. There we go. The actual battle will not take place in the Megiddo Valley. I got a bug on me or something. The battle will take place in the valley of Jehoshaphat, which means Yahweh judges. This valley is called the Valley of Decision in Joel 3:14. Yeah, we read that. Most English Bibles render the Hebrew word Jehoshaphat. See, just translations just make everything more confusion, more confusion-y. And Mount of Olives. Through the first 6 vials of Yahweh's wrath, we have seen it is Yahweh who is allowing Satan, the beast, and the false prophet to bring all nations to this battle. We have also seen that Yahweh is allowing these nations to come up to Jerusalem and take half of these people who have the promises into captivity. When the prophecy of half of the people of Jerusalem taken captive has come to pass, then is the time exactly that Yeshua will return to earth to fight in the battle of the day of Yahweh. Zechariah 14:3. I think we just read that a few minutes ago. It says, Then Yahweh will go forth and fight against those nations as he fought in the day of battle. The book of Revelation tells us more of Yeshua's return and the battle that will finish Yahweh's judgment upon the God worshippers of this earth. That's in Revelation 19:11 through 19. The armies of this religious world think they are just going into Jerusalem to easily wipe the people out. What a devastating surprise will await them. Yeshua and his army will return to fight these nations in the valley of Yahweh's judgment. In Revelation 17:12 through 13, we read, "And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings, which as yet have not received a kingdom, but receive authority as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one purpose, and they give their power and authority to the beast." It says, "We have found that these 10 horns were 10 religious powers that will give their power and strength to the beast. If they haven't already, right, with all these kingdoms, nations following the Pope right now and their intention on world peace. We are given another important fact in Revelation 17:14. Let's see. This Bible is getting worn out already. "These will make war with the Lamb, but the Lamb will overcome them, for he is the ruler of rulers and King of kings, and those who are with him are called and chosen and faithful." Let's see. Okay, you can reference that to Revelation 17:14. You can cross-reference to Daniel 7:25. We are told, okay, Revelation 19:14, "And the armies in heaven, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, followed him upon white horses." The fact tells us that those who follow Yeshua to battle as an army are the saints of Yahweh. This army is made up of men and women who have been called out of this Babylonian system and have been chosen as the righteous ones, those who kept Yahweh's laws. In Revelation 7:1 through 7, we are shown that those saints who are sealed and who have white robes are of the tribes of Israel. We see that 12,000 of each tribe of Judah, Reuben, Gad, Asher, Naphtali, Manasseh, Simeon, Levi, Issachar, Zebulun, Yosef, and Benjamin were sealed and have white robes. This is the part where I told you that when you look up the meanings of those names, it makes a sentence. It gives you a phrase. Bet y'all missed that one too, huh? Oh, no. Revelation 7:8. Y'all look it up. Y'all see what I'm talking about. Yeah, the tribe of Zebulun were sealed 12,000. Okay. Let's see. In Revelation 7:8, tells us that a great multitude that no man could number. I think he got this one wrong. 7:9. That was probably my mistake. In Revelation 7:9, tells us of a great multitude that no man could number of all the nations, kindreds, peoples, and languages were clothed with white robes of the saints. Those who are called and chosen and faithful have been on the sea of glass, receiving rewards at what is called the marriage supper of the Lamb. But there will be a time when we will leave the sea of glass. The saints will go with Yeshua to fight all nations who have gathered at Armageddon, who have fought against Jerusalem, who will be consumed in the wrath of Yahweh. Wow, that's pretty cool stuff, huh? Bet you won't get this kind of stuff in your Bible study. I only got 20 minutes. The battle itself. Next section. The battle itself. All the nations' armies of this world have gathered at Armageddon. They are confidently marching to Jerusalem. They take in half of the city, causing terror and heartache. This is Yahweh's plan. It is Yahweh who has allowed these plagues to come upon the remaining inhabitants of this planet. Remember, people, all this destruction, calamity, curses are coming upon us because we have broken the everlasting covenant. Can't blame anybody but ourselves. Okay, and to have ever have answered to of ever of answered your question. Is that right? Or your concern about why does our Father in heaven let these things happen? Is this is the biggest lesson we would have ever learned, that to live on this earth without our Father's righteous laws, there can never, ever, ever be true love and peace upon or between mankind. Praise Yahweh for his wisdom. It is Yahweh who has brought all nations of this world into one place for one purpose. It is Yahweh who is allowing a fight to go on in the city of Jerusalem. Yahweh's plans are going exactly as scheduled. All this world's standing armies, fighting men, and leaders are now in one location. Next section here is how Yahweh fights. In 2 Kings 6:24, we read that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered his army and besieged Samaria. During the siege, there came a great famine. Elisha told the king of Samaria the words of Yahweh in 2 Kings 7:1. Did Yahweh do hand-to-hand combat with the king of Syria to end the siege against Samaria? No. Yahweh used this power over his creation to cause a delusion on the armies of the Syrians. 2 Kings 7:6-7. Yahweh spoke his words, and then it was done according to his word. In the battle of the day of Yahweh, Yahweh will again speak his words and will go forth and fight all the nations. Joel 3:16. I am a fan of a lot of movies, a lot of actors, actresses. I've told you there's a lot of symbology in a lot of these movies today. There's always been biblical symbology since, I guess, the first movies of the Bible started coming out. And I guess once people started figuring more or less these things out, they were making movies that are actually based in the Bible. You know, we have the Ten Commandments, which is my favorite one, with Charlton Heston. I've seen other ones, like I said, while I was in the feds. Great movies. It's great to watch, even though Hollywood gets a lot of it wrong, especially by choosing white actors to play Egyptians and slaves. And I'm just kidding. That's just Hollywood for you. Like Yul Brynner, playing the Pharaoh in I think it was in the Ten Commandments. Don't get me wrong, Yul Brynner was a hell of an actor. Came out in several cowboy movies, whatever. But Charlton Heston, if he's still alive, last I remember, he came out in True Lies with was it True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger? But anyways, Matrix, the story, I guess, is very biblical. The chosen one, the second coming of the chosen one, Neo. Neo is just another way to spell one, that kind of stuff. But if you watch like Lord of the Rings, it's also biblical. The Hobbit. I remember first watching The Hobbit, the animated one. Very cool. I love that one. It's the cartoon one. And it's got this great soundtrack by these people over there, I guess in Europe. It sets a mood for the movie, But if you remember in the story, when all these different nations get together, the trees and the elves and mankind and the goblins and the trolls, it's kind of like this. And then you have the red dragon, red signifying war, that has all these riches, just like the Whore of Babylon has all these riches. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very biblical, people. I mean, open up your eyes and look at a lot of that stuff. Okay. I don't think I've seen all of the Passion of the Christ. I need to sit down and watch it. Mel Gibson supposedly did a pretty decent job. I also like that one, Apocalypto, got to do with the Aztecs and Mayans, whatever. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to make that point with the Lord of the Rings. All right. Now, the battle of the day of Yahweh will begin. In the fifth plague, I'm going to underline this one. In the fifth plague, the Malach of Yahweh has poured out. We have seen this world is covered with darkness, not a pitch black, but dark. These are the days spoken of as being described in sackcloth. Okay, pretty much. The world has been gathered, they have fought in Jerusalem, and half of the city has been taken captive. A great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, comes upon this whole planet when Yeshua's feet stand upon the Mount of Olives. Ooh, that's going to be a sight to see, huh? Not a white guy with long, sandy, blondie hair, blue eyes, but a dark-skinned man with woolly hair. So don't expect the guy to come back with long, blonde hair. Okay. Yeshua does not come into the city of Jerusalem. He comes outside to the east. Yahweh comes by sending Yeshua and all the saints with him. Notice in Zechariah 14, 4 and 5. Zechariah 14, 4 and 5. And in that day his feet will stand upon the Mount of Olives, which is in front of Jerusalem, on the east, and the Mount of Olives will be split in two from east to west, making a very great valley. And half of the mountain will move toward the north, and half of it towards the south. Then you will flee through this valley of the mountains, for the valley of mountains will extend to Asal. Yes, you will flee, just as you fled from the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, or Asariah, the king of Judah. And Yahweh my Father will come, and all the saints with him. Cool. Okay, the armies of the whole world are busily fighting, plundering, and doing evil to the women of Jerusalem. A monstrous earthquake begins. Panic starts among the armies. It becomes hard to know who is friend or who is Jew. I like that one. Who is Jew and who's a Gentile, huh? Or who is a physical, carnally minded Jew and who is a spiritual Jew. The armies of the world begin fighting each other. In Zechariah 14, 13 through 14, we read, and it will come to pass in that day a great confusion from Yahweh will fall upon them. Each man will seize the hand of his neighbor, and the hand of one will be raised against the hand of the other. Yet Judah will also fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of the surrounding heathen will be gathered together, gold, silver, and apparel in great abundance. Yahweh is sending this confusion upon the armies of this world, just as he brought confusion upon the army of the Syrians in 2 Kings chapter 7. Judah and Jerusalem has been valiantly resisting this invasion, but half of the city still has to go into captivity. The earthquake comes, confusion begins, the fighting suddenly takes a turn. Zechariah 12:4. In that day, says Yahweh, I will strike every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. I will open my eyes toward the house of Judah, but will also strike every horse of the peoples with blindness. And the leaders of Judah will say in their hearts, the inhabitants of Jerusalem are a means of strength to me, through Yahweh of hosts their father. I like that. I mean, that one just almost gave me chills, just to see, if I make it there, and to see this guy known as our King of Kings and Ruler of Rulers, because like it says, there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Wow, that's, I can't fathom. I can't even imagine what it would be like, but in my imagination, it's, like I said, a lot of people think it's they're wishing upon their Christ to return, but when this does come to pass, oh no. Yahweh is causing the tumult, the astonishment, and the madness upon the armies of all these nations that come up against Jerusalem. Yahweh is seeking to destroy these armies in the fierceness of his wrath. A plague comes upon those who are fighting and upon all they bring with them. When Yeshua is sent by Yahweh back to this earth, Yeshua will have been crowned King of Kings and Ruler of Rulers. Yeshua will have full power and authority to bring about a peaceful world. I also saw another video last night. I know I get off the subject a lot, but it was that lady, Miss or Mrs. Pagels. She's a Christian theologian. And I think those videos are set up. She has her own people asking her these questions so she knows how to answer. That's what I hear in the way they speak. But anyways, they were asking her, why isn't the apostle Paul, speaking of Judas, Mary, and Peter? And I was just kind of like, I got up to go use the bathroom and I came back over here. I was like, well, the New Testament per se doesn't speak of a lot of people mentioned in the Old Testament, right? I think it's a very pointless discussion. But no more worship or any worship needs to be given to Mary. She was the chosen one. She was the blessed among women. She gave birth to our Messiah. That's it. Peter, of course, was the one that betrayed our Messiah. Kepha, was it Peter? Or he denied him rather, and Judas was the one that betrayed him. So I mean, why would you want to bring up those guys anymore? Hey, forgive them. Let's move on. So on, so on, so on. Okay, so anyways, continuing here. Her name. Let me look it up for you so y'all can look up that stuff. Let's see. I think her name is Evelyn Pagels. Not Bagels, but Pagels. Can't even spell it right. I gotta go through all my subscriptions now. Let's see. I'll find it for y'all. So y'all can listen to how they're asking the questions and listen to the way she's answering. Obviously, her cameraman is one of her students. Chihuahua. Here it is.
It turned out great.
And with the money we saved with Navy
Elaine.
Federal Credit Union, it was practically free.
Can't imagine where we'd be without.
Her name is Elaine Pagels. The YouTube channel is Myth Vision Podcast. Y'all can see that there. You're gonna have to snapshot it, turn that picture around. Okay. I said, people, I watch a lot of that stuff. I mean, only really stuff that captures my mind. But anyways, it is so ironic that the only way that they will ever bring peace to earth will have to be the way of force. How else will we learn, right? By force. Yeshua comes first to tread the winepress of the fierceness of Yahweh's wrath. Revelation 19:15, we know Yeshua and all the saints will return to earth and stand on the Mount of Olives, outside of Jerusalem toward the east. It is that place exactly that Yahweh will execute the judgment of his wrath upon all the nations. This blood will flow outside of the city of Jerusalem when Yeshua completely destroys the armies of this world by the sword that comes from his mouth. Yahweh's will has been fulfilled. Yahweh's wrath has been accomplished upon this planet. Okay. Cover one more section here. Let's see. Revelation 16:17 through 21, plague number 7. One does not receive the full message or meaning from the King James. Let's look at what the King James says. Let's see. Revelation 16. Man, it's getting hot in here. Yeah, turn up that darn heat pump. 16, 17 through 21. King James Version says, and the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, it is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before God, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. Rather than it saying, it is done, this verse says, it has been done. This point has been overlooked or ignored and has brought confusion in trying to understand chapters 17 through 19 of the book of Revelation. When one just reads this in the English versions of the Bible, then seemingly those events in these chapters are yet to take place after the 7th plague is poured out upon the earth. But this is not true. By the time the 7th plague is finished, all the things coming to pass in Revelation 17, 18, and 19 have already been fulfilled. When the 7th Malak pours out his vial, it is to announce that all has been done. All this world now belongs to Yahweh and the saints. After the time Revelation 16:17 says it has been done, is a rehearsal of what already has been done. The great American city of New York has been destroyed due to the mighty earthquake. Yahweh's judgment has come on the great whore, the mother religion of all Christian churches. A church is a daughter of the Catholic whore, the Catholic Church. She has fallen along with the governments of the people and by the people and against Yahweh. Revelation 19, 1 and 2 clearly show that Yahweh has taken the glory, honor, and power. Fruit flies. And he has already judged the blood of his servants at her hand. In Revelation 16, 13 to 14, we found the unclean demons came out of the mouth of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. We find this fact about this beast and false prophet in Revelation 19:20. We find this beast, this government by the people and of the people and against Yahweh was already cast into the lake of fire to be burnt up. We find this false prophet, the religious leader of this deceived Christian world, who is the Pope, was already cast into the lake of fire to be burned up when the beast is. These two are taken and burned down when Yeshua returns with this army and destroys all the armies of all the nations. What we do not find is any mention of the dragon in Revelation 19:20. We know it is the dragon who is the deceiver of this world. Revelation 12:9 says that the devil has deceived the whole world. It is because of the dragon's deceit that mankind accepts the mark of the beast and worships God, and has brought itself to the point that Yahweh has allowed the destruction of almost every God-worshipping man on the face of this earth. At the end of the 7th plague, we see that mankind is still deceived and is still unrepentant and still blasphemes the name of Yahweh, or blasphemes Yahweh. What we see is the fact that Satan the dragon has not yet been restrained at the end of the 7 last plagues of Yahweh's wrath upon the earth. Mankind now has gone through the fire of Yahweh's judgment, which is to allow the curses for sin to come upon mankind as prophesied. A man is now more precious than fine gold. Mankind is few in number after this great devastation, but what remains of humanity is still deceived. There's going to be people wandering around like, what's going on? Have we read the prophecies, we will know exactly what's going on. At the end of the 7th plague, we have seen an inspired prophecy of the prophet Zechariah to come to pass in Zechariah 13:9. And I will bring the 3rd part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They will call with my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they will say, Yahweh is my Father. Not a actual physical fire through the judgment. Okay. Some of them might have been like, he's going to bring us to the fire? No. But this remnant of humanity will not be deceived much longer. The prophet Zechariah gave to finish the verse in Zechariah 13:9 will come to pass upon them. Okay. Remember, people, the 2 witnesses do not breathe actual, literal, physical fire. No. No, no, no. Remember in Jeremiah 23, it says that is not my word like a fire and like a hammer that breaks to pieces. Okay. Do not take the Bible, people, literal, physical. It kind of makes me think that the word did become flesh or carnally minded to a lot of people. Hey, it was to me at first too. You know, I thought I could just pick up my Bible and start reading it and find salvation, and it doesn't work like that. We have I'm sure you've heard it on maybe some of those reggaeton and rap videos, the Latino rap videos. That word "que," ¿qué onda mi que? I had a friend of mine from Mexico. She says, ¿qué onda que? No quema que. That's ridiculous. Anyways, yeah, you can't read the Bible for what it just says. You know, take it for granted that, well, it says fire. You know, I'm gonna believe. Hey, believe whatever you want. Like I said, I'm gonna keep telling you, believe whatever you want, but it is not a physical, actual, literal, physical fire. Okay. But anyways, get on here, people. Get more people on here. Get more viewers, your sisters, your friends, brothers. Share and like. Share these things with your parents, maybe even your preachers. You know, regardless of what you might have heard coming out of the house of Yahweh. If this has caught your attention and maybe you brought up another subscriber, something's catching on. Okay. Like I stated, I'm not making fun of those guys, but a lot of the videos you'll see will just say, seal number 1, seal number 2. I mean, I know how to count to 7. I think everybody does here on YouTube as well. Okay, but they need to give you the scriptures pertaining to those events, like we're seeing here. And there's not much really to interpret. I only point out things that so you all do not take them as literal, like the fire, being, you know, walk through the fire, an actual fire. That the 2 witnesses don't actually breathe fire either. That is impossible. Somebody might be saying, well, it says that anything is possible with God. No. If you are a Holy Spirit, and I know you're going to say, well, we're not to tempt our Father. Go walk through the fire right now, a actual fire, if you can, but you're not going to make it. But anyways, so I'll leave you with that one. About 43 minutes. Watch those videos, people, that I recommend to you guys. Watch any and all videos for the purposes of learning. But do not take it for granted just because they're a popular preacher like Kenneth Copeland and Joe Osteen, forget that guy, but anybody else. Because they're the more popular ones. You got to remember, the popular people back in the Messiah's time were the Pharisees and the Essenes and the Sadducees and the false prophets. They were the popular ones. Okay, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Okay, feel free to like and comment, leave your thoughts, your opinions. Feel free to share and like with your friends, family, your preachers, your dog, and your cat. And I don't know where you guys are watching from. And I could ask y'all, comment where y'all are watching from, but we probably won't do it. I live in South Texas, about 45 miles from the Mexican border. Okay, I want to leave where y'all from. Great, man. It's great to meet you guys, per se, video-wise. And I really hope you guys are getting some understanding, because Yahweh is the one that opens up our minds to His understanding, to what is in our Bibles. Okay. So if this has helped, great. If it hasn't, keep watching them until you understand that Yahweh just might open up your mind, your understanding to His. Okay. So I will see you guys and gals, and in the next video, probably next week. Tonight is the Sabbath, per se. Time to do some studying, resting, relaxing, not doing our own pleasures, that kind of stuff. But anyways, I will see you guys and gals in the next video. Cheerio.